In this video, I'm going to speak with you briefly about the Pearson correlation. Basically, the Pearson correlation has a really long name, which is the Pearson product moment correlation. I'm going to talk with you about what it is and its logic. So the Pearson product moment correlation measures, as we've talked about before, the degree or how strong a correlation is, and it measures the direction of the correlation when we have a linear relationship between two variables. This is what our Pearson's R tells us. So this is the most common form of correlation. There are other types of correlations, but the Pearson's R is the most common. And again, R is how the correlation is identified when we're using the Pearson formula. So there are some very specific requirements for the Pearson's R. You need 2 scores for each participant, an X score and a Y score. And we can only use interval and ratio scales of measurement. You can't do a Pearson's R with nominal or ordinal scales. There's other ways of working out correlation with those types of scales of measurement. But for Pearson's, we can only have interval or ratio scales of measurement. So we begin in our Pearson's calculation by measuring variability. We look at the variability of the X scores by finding the sum of squares. We find the variability of the Y scores by finding the sum of squares. Then we look at covariability, the tendency for X and Y to vary together. And we use something called the sum of products in our calculation. And I'll talk with you more about that in the next video. But what I want you to know now is that the R statistic is yet another ratio. It's a comparison. The numerator is the degree to which X and Y vary together, and the denominator is the degree to which X and Y vary separately. So if we want a large correlation coefficient, we want our degree that X and Y vary together to be a lot more than the degree to which they vary separately. So we want large numerators, and smaller denominators in order to get a larger correlation. Okay, I'll see you at the next video where we'll take this out for a spin.